I've had so many health benefits from eating this way that I didn't even know I would have. Down 55 pounds off my medication for depression and anxiety, no gas or bloating. I just feel really good. Um, the mental health, I think, is like, the biggest thing for me. It led me onto a 4-month binge and I gained 40 freaking pounds in 4 months, like out of control. I was in the McDonald's drive-through like almost every night after my kids went down getting a McFlurry. And it was just, I couldn't stop myself. And I was aware of what I was doing. Like, I definitely should not be going to McDonald's at 8 o'clock at night and getting a McFlurry, but it's like I couldn't stop myself and I didn't care. Like, that sugar really had a hold on me. I just don't care. I want it. I want this dopamine hit. I want this sugar hit. I want to numb out from whatever feeling I was feeling. So, yeah, you just need to like get back into the right mindset. You have to be ready for it. Otherwise, it's just going to continue. So it's like you got to like make the decision, be ready, hit your little mini rock bottom again, and just be like, no, that's not serving me. This is what I'm doing. And you just have to be, I guess, determined and just get through the first few days. If you've fallen off track, get through the first few days. And then it gets easier.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to be chatting again with Courtney Luna. Hi, Courtney. Thank you so much for accepting my invite.
Hi, thanks for inviting me, and I'm excited to chat with you.
This is our official YouTube interview because I think the only time we ever really did an interview, it was, I believe, an Instagram live on my thing. And then we did a YouTube interview with you. And oh my gosh, what's her name? I haven't
Oh,
seen her
with
in a while.
Devin.
Yes, what
You,
happened to Devin?
yeah, you were on my podcast. This was probably like over 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, so she
yeah.
took some time off to have another baby and just be in mom life, and she's actually like debating maybe coming back and sharing her story again. So we'll see.
Perfect. Maybe we'll entice her today. So, Courtney, share a little bit about your story. I know you have a cookbook on the carnivore diet that I want to ask you about towards the end, but share a little bit about your food addiction history, weight loss transformation, and what eventually brought you to this extreme diet, the carnivore diet.
Yeah, so I have a long history of, wonky eating. I went to my first Weight Watchers meeting at the age of 13. I always thought that my mom gently suggested it, and she's been watching these interviews. She's like, she's like, that wasn't me. Like, you asked to go. So we'll just clear that up. I wanted to go to Weight Watchers at age 13, but I was never really like overweight. I probably maybe had like 15 pounds. Like, I was active, I was in soccer, but just, I guess, not eating the right things. And so, yeah, I've tried all the diets, I swear. You name it, I've tried it. Special K cereal, Slim Fast, Nutrisystem, I mean, everything. And then I got a little bit closer to probably a decent diet with paleo. So in 2010, my mom, who was actually vegetarian at the time, introduced me to Mark Sisson Primal Blueprint paleo diet. She's like, let's try this. So I tried it. I dabbled in it. I was okay, I can't do math right now, probably like 23 at the time. So I was, living my best life, out partying, having fun. I wasn't like focused on my health. I was just focused on weight loss. So I, tried to manage my weight with that. A few years later, found keto. So I was keto, low carb, on and off for probably about 7 years. And it worked for me, but I would always like gain the weight back. I think with keto, like it's so, at least the Facebook groups I was in at the time, like having cheat meals or cheat weekends were just like so accepted. Like that's just what everybody did. And for me, that, turned into a cheat week. So I had my second baby, went back to low carb to lose that 50 pounds. And then I got caught up in the anti-diet culture BS. I saw, content online where it's like all foods fit, you have to eat everything in moderation, that whole spiel. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm going to stop doing keto and low carb. I'm going to incorporate croissants back in my diet. And actually, the first week went really well. I was very mindful. I actually lost a couple pounds. I remember I had a croissant that week, but it was just, it was triggering for me. Like looking back at it now, knowing what I know now that I'm a sugar addict, I was like, it led to a binge. I couldn't control myself. I I can't even say it without laughing because it's like absolutely ridiculous. But it led me onto a 4 month binge and I gained 40 freaking pounds in 4 months. Like out of control. I was in the McDonald's drive-through like almost every night after my kids went down getting a McFlurry. And it was just I couldn't stop myself. And I was aware of what I was doing. Like I definitely should not be going to McDonald's at 8 o'clock at night and getting a McFlurry, but it's like I couldn't stop myself and I didn't care. Like that sugar really had a hold on me. So my husband was sending me Dr. Paul Saladino's TikToks for about a month before I was like, why are you sending me these? Like, should we not be eating vegetables? This is so weird. He's like, oh, I don't know. I need to do some research. So that was the intro to it. And I started out animal based. He went strict carnivore. After 5 weeks, I realized that that fruit still had a hold on me. Like I could have a pound of ribeye and my mouth still wanted blueberries. So I realized, 5 weeks in, I'm like, I can't even have the fruit. Even the fruit's triggering. So yeah, long story short, that's how I found it. And so going at it from like a weight loss perspective and just like not feeling great, I'm like, yes, I'm going to try it. I've had so many health benefits from eating this way that I didn't even know I would have. Down 55 pounds off my medication for depression and anxiety, no gas or bloating. I just feel really good. Um, the mental health, I think, is like, the biggest thing for me. And yeah, it's been amazing.
Wow. So many similarities between your experience and mine. I was literally crying because my mom, like, we grew up, it was like all I had was like a roof over my head and food, but it was no frills, right? And so anything extra, you almost had to beg for it. And I remember literally crying, asking my mom to take me to a dietitian. I was 14. So you were 13, I was 14. But before that, I was already crash dieting, not eating digestive biscuits thing because they were marketed as high fiber and they're healthy. It's like, okay, it's a good diet food. I would last like 3 days on like 5 digestive biscuits a day, going to school every day, all that kind of stuff. And then by the third day, that's it. Your brain can no longer function. And so I would just raid the Nutella jar. I would eat the whole Nutella jar. That's how my binge eating started. It was just, yeah, I'm not thinking. I just go straight to it and I just put all those calories in. And then once you cross that line once, over and over, then you feel guilty and then you do it again and then you cross the line again and again and again. It becomes normal to eat just ginormous amounts of sugar and fat, like. So anyway, what I wanted to touch upon, I'm very interested in the mental health thing. I just posted an interview yesterday with Frank Wright talking about how he cured his depression and anxiety on a carnivore diet in 48 hours. That has been my experience too. Like by the second day, it's like, wow, I'm not depleted. I don't have those mood swings. It's like I'm waiting for my mood to kind of slip away from me and it's not coming. I'm stable and I'm not just stable, but I have that, what they call the zero carb zen. Like it's just insane and it's so beautiful. My husband doesn't get it quite because he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm always high. Like people who don't go through that don't really get it. They don't understand how life-changing it is to have that switch turn on in your brain and know that you can trust yourself and know that you're gonna be like the world is not ending, you know? But before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about that the body positivity movement. When I was teaching at Miami-Dade College and also the University of Miami, but I feel like I spent because I taught at the University of Miami for 5 years and way longer at Miami-Dade College, probably close to 10 years because it kind of overlapped. And so that was such a big thing, the body positivity thing I noticed in especially the young women. And because we would follow one another on Instagram, so I could see what they're posting and I could see from their questions. And that happened, I would say that the peak of that movement was probably 3 years ago, maybe, if you're right. Um, Before Lizzo started losing weight. I feel like Lizzo was like spearheading the movement. So I I could feel how much pressure there was on everybody to be okay with that. I never really went down that rabbit hole Thankfully, I always knew because by the time the body positivity movement was really peaking, I was already really deep into this, and I've been through exactly your journey, like paleo, keto. I also did animal-based first, Paul Saladino stuff, and then I finally realized, okay, sweet potatoes and fruits and honey. It was like honey and cottage cheese every day. Not good.
It's so good though. I
Right.
was putting honey on my burger patties or even maple syrup with butter, and it's phenomenal. But of course it is because you're getting like that dopamine hit and the sugar hit. So yeah,
That's
it
so
was
funny.
delicious, but definitely didn't serve me well.
That is hilarious. One time I was on my way. I had this photographer. We collaborated on a shoot right here in Orlando. So, and I'm just getting ready. It takes forever to get ready for a photo shoot. So I haven't eaten. So on my way to the shoot, I discover bacon jerky. I thought jerky was just beef, and then that was the first time I tried it. And then I realized it's soaked in sugar. That's why it tasted insane. It was so good. I was like, oh my God, I could eat this every day. And I did for a while until I realized, you know what? Let me check the ingredient list.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that.
it's good.
So, okay, the body positivity movement you ended up gaining 40 pounds from that. Okay, at first you're excited about it, and so you're controlling yourself a little bit, or you're just kind of like, I can eat this every day. But very, very quickly, that sugar addiction, that brain wants to go there, right? And so you gained 40 pounds in 4 months, you said?
Yeah. Yeah, and now knowing what I know, I've learned that there's abstainers or moderators, and when I heard that, like light bulbs just clicked. It's like, oh, no wonder I couldn't control myself around that food. Like it's addicting. Like there's a reason that, and I get a lot of flack for this because I compare it to alcoholism, and people are like, how dare you compare, alcoholism to food addiction? I'm like, it's the same thing.
I
You
think
know,
it's
like
worse. I think it
it,
activates the brain worse, and I think we have solid
yes.
data to show. Yeah.
And I agree. And I mean, I guess you could probably say I'm an alcoholic too. There's a reason why I don't drink anymore because I can't just have one. And you're not going, when you go to AA classes, because I've been, when you go, they're not teaching you how to moderate and have one glass of wine on the weekend. They're there to help support you to not have another drop. So why are we not applying this towards food? I mean, sugar is addicting, and people are like, how dare, like, or it's just so pathetic you can't have a slice of cake, or they bash you for not being able to moderate. It's like, well, would you tell an alcoholic how sad you can't have one glass of wine? So like it's very frustrating to have people dismiss it and say that we need to have everything in moderation in order to have a good relationship with food. And I think it's BS. For me, with these restrictions comes freedom. Like I feel, yes, it might seem restrictive. We're only eating meat, but that gives me freedom because the food noise is gone. And I'm not sitting there like, do I eat that donut? Do I not? Do I put it in my macros for the day? Try not to eat it, binge. I can't have any of that. And that's okay. Some people can have a donut, go about their day, not think about it. I would obsessively think about it. So I just need to abstain. And I feel like that should be accepted. We accept it with alcohol. Why can't we accept it with sugar?
I feel that a lot of people who have experience with other drugs and have gone to things like AA, they get it. They get it faster because you understand what it takes to get sober from a substance, and then you can see all the red flags. Sometimes our brain, with addiction, sometimes our brain likes to go into amnesia and try to be in denial, even though you know. But in those moments of clarity, you can see that this is also an addiction. It's probably a worse addiction than alcohol.
Exactly, because we have to eat every day. And I guess we have to like drink water, so you could maybe say that, but it's not the food I feel like is more tempting than, the alcohol. I mean, unless you're working in a bar, but I think since we have to eat every day and make those choices, it's harder than like giving up drugs and alcohol. At least for me, it was a totally different shift because once you walk away from the other stuff, it's easier to walk away. Whereas, I mean, you can't go buy a bag of cocaine in the grocery store, but you can get your other drug of choice, which is sugar. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was harder to give up sugar. And honestly, I still battle with it.
Yeah, I get it. And you're not bombarded with the ads for cocaine 24/7. Whereas the moment, like, you don't even have to leave your house and you're bombarded with foods, the really addictive food engineered and with just the right amount of salt, sugar, and fat to hit that bliss point, right? Because too much sugar can be ostigating, it's not as addicting. Too little is not enough. And so they pay people tons and tons of money. Those are people that are working 50, 60 hours a week, getting very handsomely compensated to figure out what is the most addictive version of the recipe, right? And they test it on actual people and they put them in MRI, like they get their brain scans, and it's like, here, that lights up the brain, just like, okay, let's go with that recipe, and then they put all the money behind it, right?
And that's frustrating. And people know that. Doesn't that should piss everybody off? We're being bamboozled. Like they are out to get us to fill their pockets. And you're right. We are like being shown all this food. Like I often we have a local burger place where I DoorDash just burger patties. But then like even yesterday, I get like a notification from DoorDash, Courtney, are you craving Mexican? And I'm like, maybe. But and it's like even that, I feel like being sober from carbs and sugar is still like a daily choice you have to make because it's so easy to fall off of it. And being carnivore and not having it makes things easier. But to be honest, I'm struggling lately, even just with having fruit in the house for my kids
Mhm.
or, their little like fruit bars. Like I had one last week and I'm like, I want to eat all the rest of this package. Like I just felt so out of control. And so it's just even hard to be, and once you got like a little bite of that and the sugar monster comes back, like, it it's just insane. And so it's like no wonder the majority of the country is metabolically unhealthy. Like this stuff is lighting up areas in our brain and it's hard to not want to have that dopamine. I know you talk a lot about dopamine and that's my latest rabbit hole too on why we are reaching for things, I guess outside of ourselves, but why are we reaching for food to like numb out or make us happy, get that hit so we don't have to like sit with our feelings that are like uncomfortable. Like, so that's fascinating to me, that side of things.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. Remember that I will send you a free copy of my guide, the 30-Day Carnivore Diet Challenge Guide, when you sign up to my newsletter at drzaldivar.com/newsletter. Also, if you are looking for more one-on-one personalized support, check out my coaching packages at drzaldivar.com/coaching. Now back to the podcast. Yeah, you gotta raise your baseline dopamine. That did it for me. That is so critically important. Every day I wake up, I get my run in, I lift. I don't lift every day, but I try to run every single day. Now I've gotten to a place where I don't have to run every day, but I choose to. But I know that I can do a couple of days without running and I'm not freaking out. Oh, is my baseline dropping? Because it's not like that quickly that it drops. But yeah, you have to, it's not enough to just remove the foods that are dropping our baseline dopamine, like addictive foods or other substances, or even behaviors like social media. Those dopamine hits, they function in the same way, very very numerous dopamine hits in close succession to one another with minimal effort. That is what drops your baseline dopamine. So it's not enough to remove the stuff that drag us down. We also want to raise that baseline. And my suggestion, especially for people who can work out, because I understand some people are literally bedbound, like they can't. But if you can, you're so lucky. It's just the easiest way to raise that baseline. And I suggest just going above and beyond, like give yourself some cushioning so that you have wiggle room, not just raise it just enough, like raise it as far as you can. And why stop? Like keep raising it, because the more you raise it, the more resilient you are, the more powerful you are. Your brain literally grows, right? And it just, not only does it increase dopamine, it also raises baseline serotonin, acetylcholine, like all of those neurotransmitters, right? You become more creative, everything. So the raising the baseline dopamine, I think, yeah, is definitely something that I have found immense success with, not just for myself, but also with my clients. I mean, it's just then so effortless as opposed to constantly fighting little cravings here or there, or some days you're tired. Like life is never going to be perfect. So give yourself a little bit of a guarantee, a little bit of a cushioning. It's like this extra layer on top of living a sober life that I find, yeah, is really the silver bullet. Is it the silver bullet? Is that the expression that they use?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Magic bullet. I don't know. Maybe silver bullet. Silver lining. Magic bullet. I don't know. I'm the worst with
Magic
messing
bullet.
up.
Maybe. I don't
That's
know.
what you. Oh, I
It's
don't.
every day it seems that no, every few days, and I've been married to my hubby since when? 2013. I came to Miami from Lebanon in 2012, and then we got married, and then I met him in 2013, right? And so from 2013 to now, it's like what, 11 or 12 years together, and every once in a while he'll say something like, wait, what does that mean? Is that, oh, you've never heard that? It's like, how many expressions are there? I know, it's crazy.
There's so many different sayings. Yeah, and I always butcher them. But back to the dopamine stuff. So, like, is walking good enough, or does it needs to be like harder stuff like cardio, lifting weights? I even hear like would cold plunge. So is it something that's like gnarly to your body, like
Yeah.
challenging it?
Cold plunges, yeah, a little bit, but at some point you're going to max out. I mean, are you going to spend 10 hours there to keep pushing that baseline higher, And I just don't think that 3 minutes is enough to raise it to where, and you can't track it really well. I don't know. I mean, maybe for some people it might work. Yeah, I guess you could keep dropping the temperature over time. But I don't know. I love the exercise because you can track it and you can constantly increase the intensity and the speed. And and it helps most people, want to lose weight as well. So it's like then the weight literally drops off of you so easily, right? And yeah, it has to be something uncomfortable. Now, if you're bedbound and then all of a sudden you started walking and that half a mile felt like you ran a marathon, then yes, that's going to elevate your baseline from where it is to a higher level. But then the moment you adapt, that's where you're stuck. Now you have to keep going outside your comfort zone. That's because dopamine is an anesthetic. So you gotta give your brain a reason to spend its efforts and waste energy molecules like the ATP molecules. You have to give it a reason why it would want to invest any effort into creating more dopamine and more D2 receptors, or dopamine receptors, and all the machinery, and the transporters for the dopamine. You need to give it a solid reason why it should waste any energy on doing that. And so the signal, the strong reason is that feeling of discomfort. It doesn't have to be very uncomfortable, just a little bit over, it compounds over weeks. So this is why it has to be something uh, outside your comfort zone just a little bit. And once you adapt, like if you get dumbbells and you're doing 10-pound bicep curls, and then the next month you're doing it and it feels like air, then you're stuck at that. Yeah, still higher baseline than when before you were doing the 10-pound bicep curls, but it's good. But why not take it a little bit higher? That's
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that all makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I'll go for a run. You convinced me.
Yay, awesome. Cool. And then that also for if we're talking also a lot of people do this and they also want to lose weight, that's going to prevent metabolic adaptation. That's going to prevent your body from adapting, right? Where people hit a plateau. It doesn't matter what diet you're following, eventually everybody plateaus, and that's because your body gets very efficient at not wasting calories to do that movement. It creates all kinds of machinery so that it's barely burning any calories to do that movement because you've done it so many times. So your body adapts, right? And it's like, okay, I can do this very efficiently now. So you're not really burning as many calories. And so you're going to plateau. This is why constantly increasing the intensity of your workouts is going to keep the weight loss happening. And you might not even need to do a reverse diet. You know how people do a reverse diet to speed back up the metabolism? I have found the quickest, most insane results with reverse dieting with my carnivore clients who also train this way. It's wild. Whereas if you're working with somebody who's not on a carnivore and who's not doing this kind of exercise, it can take them months, to really heal their metabolism or like speed it up and bring back those 500, 600, or maybe 1,000 calories, speed it up by 1,000 calories a day. That's how long it can take. And then you're struggling because now I can eat more stuff, and then the binge eating comes back, and it's a disaster,
Yeah,
basically.
I feel like there's a lot of pieces to this weight loss puzzle. It's a little overwhelming because, yeah, I mean, yes, we should maybe eat a little less and move more, but I think there's like so much with that. And then, like you said, the reverse dieting, like it's like my mind just explodes.
Yeah, yeah. At first, it can feel this way, but it's the easiest way. The way that we're doing it with the carnivore is it really the easiest way, you know? I think, but yeah, what's missing, I think, is the biggest thing I find with people who eventually hire me for weight loss on carnivore is that they've been told like just eat meat, it doesn't matter, don't count your calories, no, 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 no. You're just, and the weight is going to fall off. And sometimes if you have a lot of weight or you just started carnivore, yeah, the weight does come off, and so then they get stuck in that phase. And but to take it to the next level, to really reveal everything, to really get shredded, to get abs, it's not enough to you. Then you want to ensure you're creating a caloric deficit. And then when you create that caloric deficit, you want to make sure your body hasn't adapted and you entered a plateau phase. So now you need to know how to exit that, reverse dieting or increasing the intensity of the workout or a combination of both, you know. So but that's pretty much it. I think like that's the only missing piece I find in people who are struggling to lose weight. If people are listening, they're doing carnivore and they want to take it to that next level. Once you get those in place, then and it and it's great because then you have motivation, right? You know you're dropping weight, you're getting your ideal body. That also raises baseline dopamine. Your life situation also raises baseline dopamine, right? When you wake up and you know I'm in optimal physical shape. I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to worry about what clothes to wear. I can go to the beach and feel super comfortable. Like all those things that makes your brain bathe in all of those feel good chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, everything, right? And that helps not create cravings because let's say you're doing carnivore and you're sober and everything, right? But you're still uncomfortable in your body, even a little bit, you know? And then you want to go to the beach or you're going out, just feeling uncomfortable in your own skin. I don't care how sober you are, that's gonna trigger you, that's gonna stress you out. What do we do normally when we get stressed out? We want to numb out that feeling somehow, and we've learned to do that with food. And so that can also keep those cravings, you know, which is why I always, you know, when I work with my clients, it's like, yeah, you can get healthy and you can lose weight all the time. And actually they go together because as you're losing weight, it's easier to stick to your diet because the momentum is there, motivation is there, you know, it just becomes effortless because every day you're waking up or every week there's a drop, you feel like this is amazing.
Yes, no, that's such a good point. When it's working, it's encouraging. When you fall off, then it's frustrating because you wake up and it's just like a vicious cycle of, oh, I don't feel good. Who cares? I'm just gonna eat that. And yeah, that makes so much more sense. Oh, I was gonna say something and now I forgot. Maybe it will come back to me. It was off something you were saying.
About the plateau.
Oh, just the cardio. I feel like no, like everyone else is saying, oh, like gone are the days of 45 minutes on the elliptical. Like you don't need to do that. Or even just, oh, if you want cardio, lift weights faster. Like I feel like people have gotten away from suggesting cardio. And I feel like you and then Michelle Hearn going for her, 1,000,000-mile runs are the only ones that are actually like promoting more than just walking. I feel like everyone else is just walking. So is that the missing piece?
Yep. That's it. That's it.
Interesting.
That's
And
it.
like,
Yeah.
should it be sprints or should it be
I do.
constant?
The problem with sprints is that you can at best maybe do a mile in total once or twice a week and you need to recover. That's not even remotely close enough to get your ideal body. If you really, you know, and like we're living in the age of social media. Everybody who looks insanely amazing, those are the profiles you're going to see on your feed because Instagram is going to push it to you, right? Because everybody's like, "Oh my God, she looks amazing." So the algorithm picks it up and is going to put it in your face, right? And so I'm not of this idea like, oh, like stop social media. It's like, listen, this is reality. Adapt or die, right? Charles Darwin, it is not the strongest or the smartest who survives. It's the one who's most flexible and most adaptable to change. So I prefer to work with the system and adapt to it. And there's nothing wrong with looking phenomenally great. Why not? We can raise our collective standards of, you know, just everybody being fitter and fitter. I'm not against that. So if that's the reality that we are living in, and we want to look like that to feel like, yeah, I'm in the group. I did it. Like I've arrived. Cardio is the silver bullet because cardio is what's going to allow you to lose weight at a phenomenal rate. It's going to increase baseline dopamine, so you're not going to be craving or you're just your resilience to stress, your resilience to life is going to be there, right? It's like I do it, I train for life so that when I get a call, somebody got into an accident, I don't fall apart. Or, like it's not enough to just be sober and eat the right foods. I also want to be stronger and stronger and stronger because you never know how difficult life can get or when you're going to run into those issues. So, but yes, I the for the sprinting, I will do bursts of like really fast, like 1 mile here and there twice a week. But every day I have a baseline of cardio that I do. So I'll do between 4 and 6 miles every day. The trick is to get so fast that it barely takes any time. So I'm running at 6.5 to 6.7 miles per hour, right? And so you're done in less than an hour, right? And some days I skip it, that's fine. It's not, it's not, you don't lose those adaptations. Even if I don't work out for 2 weeks, I'm not going to lose the adaptation, right? But that's what it takes. And then, not enough. Then, if you really want to speed things up, then you would want to get in your steps. And if you have access to a treadmill at home or a desk bike, you can increase the resistance and you can increase the incline because that is the real secret sauce. On top of raising your baseline, then you can accumulate an extra 1,000, 1,500 calories just in getting your steps on an incline. And so this is how people are dropping 1 or 2 pounds a day because it's like the cardio and then the steps. And this is when people, you see the bodybuilding, the bikini division, which are bodybuilding women, but they look like they just have the ideal beach body. That's the whole idea behind that division. And this is generally what I feel like most women feel like, yeah, super lean, but also they have the muscles, like they have the glutes and they have muscle tone. They're not emaciated, just skinny. So that's how they get it. They do the steps and that's the biggest lever that they give themselves. They do it to shred down, and then once they get there, they stop the steps. That's the real secret there. And they don't usually say it. They're like, I just do 45-minute workout, like strength training, and maybe like a 20-minute on the elliptical or something. But then the steps that they get, and I've interviewed a lot of them, it's insane.
Okay, interesting. And it's so funny because my husband, he tells me all this, but now you say it in a different way. And I'm like, okay, yes, that makes so much sense. And he's gonna be like, what the heck? I've been trying to tell you to, get a harder workout in or do a little bit more. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. But now, Dr. Zaldivar tells me to, and I'm gonna be hitting the cardio
That
machine.
is hilarious. That sounds just like my hubby. He tells me things and I fight him and fight him and fight him over it. And it's like, you don't understand. There was a long phase where I was like, you know, it's being overweight, like that's not your fault. It's like, no, you can use discipline. It's like, no, you don't understand. And of course, I mean, we both have a little piece of the truth, but he's all about mental strength and just do it, like that's how you get stronger. And for a long time I would really fight him and I would read those books, about like addiction, like you have to, and yeah, they're kind of right, but at the same time it is also true that discipline also can override anything, at the same time. So yeah, that sounds exactly like me and my hubby. And also another thing is once you're ready, then it clicks for you,
Mm.
right? Because you may have heard me talk all about this stuff long time ago, but you sometimes, and I know that for me as well, I like to learn the hard way for some reason. I have to do all the mistakes, and then I was like, okay, fine, well that didn't work. And then I'm ready to accept a message that I had heard maybe 5 years ago, but now all of a sudden it clicked for me in my brain.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. And that reminds me of what Gary Vee says. He's like, people are like, bro, you say the same thing every day. He's like, yeah, that's the point. You say the same message every day. It's going to click or hit different on a different day, depending on what the situation is. And that's true because I listen to a lot of his stuff. And even just for other topics, sometimes just you're on that certain walk, you're in that place in your life, you hear it, and it's like, Okay, that makes sense. And now I'm ready to do it. Like, yeah, I could have heard all this time. I mean, I did that maybe we should do some cardio. My husband's telling me that. But then you telling it to me today, I'm like, okay, today's the day, you know? So yeah, you just gotta like have an open mind, I guess. And then
Yeah.
it's gonna click when you're ready, like you said.
Exactly. So sometimes you just have to go through it and get to a point where you're fed up. You're just like, wow, another experiment, another way of doing things, and I'm still not where I really want to do. And once you're fed up, that's when you're ready to do because it's uncomfortable. I get it. Like it's not like, yay, 6 miles today. Like, no, you know? Although I have to say, like on carnivore, because I've done this protocol, the baseline raising dopamine thingy with regular foods versus carnivore. Carnivore is different just because once the depression and anxiety and the mental clarity and that thing that we're talking about with the brain happens, I wake up and I'm energized and I'm excited. I don't have that resistance that normally I didn't realize it was coming just because I added veggies in. Cooked veggies give me some form of break. That's insane, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Let's talk really quick about actually, yeah, let's talk about the gut health component because I feel like gut health and depression and anxiety go hand in hand. Did you notice a difference or did you never had any, let's say, digestive symptoms that went away and that correlated with improvement in your mental health?
Yeah, I never had any digestion issues that like stood out. I mean, now having zero plants, I have zero gas, whereas before it's like, I mean, to be honest, a couple days ago I had chili crunch oil. So I had crunchy onions, tore my stomach up. And it's like it's just funny because, eating veggies and stuff, we get so used to, I mean, we're gassy, right? I mean, we can admit that when you're having vegetable, like especially Brussels sprouts. So yeah, like I would have that, and then once going carnivore, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that just there's nothing now, like absolutely no gas. And honest to be a little TMI, when I go to the bathroom, it doesn't smell unless I'm using seasonings. So if I'm even just having some seasoning on my meat, which I don't typically do, but then I will smell that. So it's something with the plants, even in just a little ground up cumin, that's doing something inside, which I feel like is interesting.
Yeah, same. Very, very interesting in that, we're taught like it's okay to fart all day long. It's like, is it really? I mean, I grew up, eating rice and beans, so you can imagine. I'm sure you developed some resistance to it, but on my first date, was it my first date? Or no, I think it was the third date, right? Because we went out Friday night and then Saturday went to the beach and then Sunday, third date. I remember farting like a third date with like a brand new guy. I'm like, oh my God, he looks amazing. I hope this goes somewhere and all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't, because just the foods that I thought were healthy for me. I would do rice and beans. I would cook them. I'd call my mom. Mom, give me the recipe. It was the first time I ever cooked for myself because I lived by myself that first year or so. So yeah, you have no control over it. It's awful. And now nothing, that's huge.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely a nice thing to not be going around tooting all day.
Right? Okay. So yeah, there's probably also an autoimmune component. See, because if somebody has gut health issues, it's so common to also have mental health issues. Like if you have bloating, if you have, diarrhea or constipation. It's so common that I see that. It usually comes along with either brain fog, mild depression, full blown depression, mild anxiety, or full blown anxiety. All those things you have to treat the before you get on all of the stuff that they put you on, and before you do all the therapy. I'm not saying that might not be okay in some instances, especially if it's really dangerous for you right now. I get it, but that should not be your long-term strategy. If we know, like, I mean, just look at your gut. Like, start with the root cause. Your gut is your second brain, right? I'm wondering with the adaptation period, did you ever get the diarrhea when because people freak out usually at around like the 10-day mark or so, and they might get diarrhea on carnivore, and it's like, oh, maybe this diet is really crazy, and I shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like they say, don't trust a fart. But here's the thing, like, yes, you may need to run to the bathroom, but it shouldn't be like painful or uncomfortable. Like it should just come out. So I think if it's hurting, then maybe that's not, something else is going on. But yeah, definitely an adjustment period in the beginning for sure. It's just a lot of fat.
Yep, exactly. And you can slowly titrate your fat up too. That can also minimize the explosiveness of the diarrhea. Do you remember how long it lasted?
I don't really remember, honestly. I feel it's been almost 3 years ago. I don't totally remember, but maybe like a few weeks or so, like on and off. It would, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It can last that long, and if you just, have faith in the process, just know that you will adapt. And then I had a keto rash. Did you ever go through that?
No, I've
Okay.
heard of that though, but no, never had that issue.
Yeah, I think it was Candida trying to die.
Mm,
So I didn't know it then. I wish I knew. It would have been easier. But you can get antifungal cream and just put it on that. Or for some people, they'll use like an antibiotic. So it could be maybe also a SIBO for some people. I'm not sure. But
okay.
regardless whether you use anything or not, that should also clear. It might take a few weeks. Another thing that I've heard of somebody like very, very close supervision of the case, soil-based probiotics, SBOs, also can clear a rash that doesn't go away on carnivore. So all kinds of stuff. I think it has to do something with gut health, for the
Okay,
people who
yeah.
struggle with that. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about also the slip ups. Let's talk about, okay, how do you handle those slip ups? What has your experience been with that?
So I went 2 years without having a bite of anything. I was super strict. I was honestly almost scared. Like I felt like that strawberry or bite of something would send me on a spiral. And I guess I was right because I have since, dabbled in not wanting to bring things in. Like it wasn't intentional. It was more of like kind of can't control myself. Like I remember the first strawberry I had. I took my kids strawberry picking. We were out in the fields. It was a beautiful sunny day. The strawberries were glistening. I'm like, oh, I really just want one. Like they look really good. And then I was also like just curious how I would react. So I'm like, I'm just gonna try one. Let's just see like what happens. So I had a strawberry and it was amazing. And then I had another one. And then it was like I felt myself wanting to just like go rip all the berries off the plants. And we brought a container home and it took everything in me to not eat that whole container of strawberries. So I feel like I have a lot of self-awareness from eating this way. And just knowing that I need to abstain, but it's hard. I mean, just recently I've been struggling. I'm back on track like the last couple days, back to strict carnivore, but there was a few days, like I said, like I had some of my kids' fruit bars, and then I'm like, oh, now I need something salty. So I had some cashews, and I'm like, what am I doing? And then I rationalize it because it's like, oh, I feed these for my kids, so it's not that bad. It's not like I'm eating Oreos. I haven't gone off plan and had something like that. It's just more of, the healthy-ish stuff that I'm buying for my kids. But it's hard because then you have that taste and it's hard to stop. So you really just, and it's a mindset thing because even then, I had the feelings of when I was driving through McDonald's at night getting a McFlurry, even with the cashews. I'm like, I just don't care. I want it. I want this dopamine hit. I want this sugar hit. I want to numb out from whatever feeling I was feeling. So, yeah, you just need to like get back into the right mindset. You have to be ready for it. Otherwise, it's just going to continue. So, it's like you got to like make the decision, be ready, hit your little mini rock bottom again, and just be like, no, that's not serving me. This is what I'm doing. And you just have to be, I guess, determined and just get through the first few days. If you've fallen off track, get through the first few days.
Yeah.
And then it gets easier. And then now it's like I'm just trying to do all the inner work. So now I'm realizing why I'm turning to food and to just pay attention to that. I listened to this podcast yesterday where they were talking about emotional eating and they're like, a lot of us misuse food. It's like, oh, okay, I haven't Like hearing it that way was interesting. Like, okay, when you're having a piece of chocolate cake, it's not providing you nutritional value. Like we're misusing food to, bring us joy. And misusing can be fine once in a while, but it's when we're abusing it. So when you are turning to food because it's going to pacify you from some feeling you're feeling, either maybe you're just bored or maybe you're lonely or you're frustrated. I find myself like when I'm getting like flustered by my kids, it's like I go into the kitchen and it's like, okay, just having that awareness. Why am I going into the kitchen right now? Maybe I just need to sit with these frustrated feelings. So yeah, there's a lot internally going on why
Mm.
we're turning to food for comfort.
The biggest thing that I help my clients with is increasing their pull forces because especially people who are prone to having depression or prone to using substances, it's like our brains need more stimulation than somebody else, right? And there's actually a genetic variant called, the D2. It's like a mutation on the D2 receptor. So we're just literally born with like 30% less D2 receptors, those dopamine receptors than somebody else. And so for us to always feel amazing, we have to increase the number of D2 receptors. So we could raise baseline dopamine. That's one way of doing it. You can also increase your pull forces. And in my experience, I need to do both. And so increasing your pull forces because we're motivated to do something or to withstand something, go endure something by two main forces, your push forces and your pull forces. The push forces are the pain, right? We got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and now just the idea of having our limb cut off because of diabetes is too much to bear. So the pain of that is going to be greater than the pain of just going carnivore and just eating meat, right? And so that pushes a lot of people into action. And then, but the problem is it's rare to have those moments. And so we end up living life where it's not really bad to take action, but it's kind of like a zombie-like state. It's not like great. And so we can lean on the other motivational system, which is our pulling forces running towards something amazing. Let's say I'm going to start a business and I'm going to become a multimillionaire or a billionaire in 10 years. Like if I do everything right, right? So that's very exciting. That increases your pull forces. What stops people from actually using that motivational system is their limiting beliefs. It's like, I'm 60, I'm da da da, right? And so, how do you break that? You seek out experiences of people, like, for example, Grandma Moses, one of the most prolific painters. She started painting at 80, and now she has a legacy. She's gone down in history, right? So the more you expose yourself to people who have achieved things that you might think right now are crazy, it's just you just need to fill that knowledge gap. You can think of Mr. Beast, for example. He started at 13 and within doing YouTube, and then within 10 years, he became a billionaire, right? I mean, literally started at 13. Your brain is not even fully functional at 13. So if with half a brain, right, for half of that 10-year timeline, and he still became a billionaire, right? I mean, they offered him $1 billion. He obviously turned it down because he's worth way more now with his brand. So the more you learn about all these people, then it becomes easy to destroy those limiting beliefs because now you have solid evidence that that is not true. That thought that I have is stopping me. So now you remove all of the debris away and you can increase your pull forces that way. And that is what your brain is craving. It no longer feels like it needs to get that dopamine hit from the food because it's getting it from that vision. This is why visualization is so powerful as well, because you're constantly visualizing that thing you're going towards, that big reward. Yes.
No, I love all that. And I'm glad you said that because well, first back to those like I've heard it called like these people are expanders. So they show you like what's out there and what's possible. So I love that. But I actually just talked to Ben Azadi a few days ago, and we were talking about this like future self and just the image we have of ourselves. And like every morning he has his vision board up there, and he's just visualizing what he wants for himself. And I dabbled in that stuff, but lately, the last month, I've been very consistent on doing my morning pages each month. And now I've brought back in the future self stuff because I think it's so true. And I actually saw a TikTok. They're like, if you believe like you're destined for more and you feel strongly about it, that's because, ooh, I just got chills. They're like, that's because it already exists. It's just like on a different timeline. And that might be a little, too woo woo for somebody, but just having that belief in yourself and then, yeah, like striving for that, do future self visualizations. And he was actually telling me like a little affirmation I could tell myself because I'm still struggling to lose this last like 10, 15. So he gave me this affirmation of like, I don't totally remember. I have it written down, but it's like I'm in, my body is healthy and at its goal weight and like all that kind of stuff. And I totally believe that using all that stuff, like it's, what's the book that you are the placebo? I think our mind is so powerful and it can be easy to get into the negative talk. I mean, I do it all the time right now. Like I even just said, oh, I'm struggling to lose these last 10, 15 pounds. If I'm telling myself every day, this is so hard, I can't lose the 10 pounds. Like, what if I flip it and be like, I'm in my dream body, my goal body, I'm at a healthy weight. Like,
Yeah.
we need to be aware of our thoughts that we're telling ourselves.
1,000%. Yeah, I make all of my clients download Pinterest and create a board of their vision, and we laser focus on that thing. You wouldn't have the urge if you didn't already have the goods to make it happen. So if you feel even like a 1% feeling that I am meant to do this great thing, and I know if I stretch myself to the max and I get really, really lucky, I could do that. I could make 1 billion doing following my passion. If there's just a 1% urge, that's because you already know deep down that you could make it happen, right? And so then it's just taking that, trusting your intuition, because that's your subconscious mind, right? It is so much more powerful than the conscious mind that can only focus on, let's say, just this conversation right now. But my subconscious mind is picking up the books, the noise from the street, like it's taking all this data in. So you go through life, you have so much more information from the environment that you're not consciously aware of, but your senses are picking up. It all goes into your subconscious, but your subconscious mind can only communicate with you via emotions, because it's not going to sit you down and give you a presentation for millions of years to go through every single data point why you should do that. You should follow that, right? So how does it communicate with you? The fastest way it knows how to, which is emotion. It sends you an emotion, and that's your gut feeling or your intuition. It's really your subconscious mind just telling you that, yes, if you get excited about something, it's like, yes, you gotta follow that. That's true. And if you get anxious or depressed about a thought, or you hold yourself back from doing something, then you're gonna feel bad about holding back, because that emotion is telling you, no, you need to, that's a limiting belief, or so this is what it is, like trusting your intuition and following that and listening to that. And then if it changes upon new information, then you follow that, right? So yeah, totally. The whole thing, the visualizations. I mean, I talk in the Monster Mindset Guide. I have a whole section on visualization, and I differentiate between energy versus training visualizations, how they're both very, very important. I do it every single day. I do the energy visualization where I'm visualizing my goal, and I do the training visualization, and I link it every time I have an energy visualization. It's like, okay, and what do I need to do? What is the one thing that I know I could be better at, but maybe a little more challenging? And I'll do that training visualization. And then, so you want to do that, and you want to back it up. The whole purpose of visualization is to give you dopamine on demand. You can literally increase dopamine levels by 65% in a single visualization moment or session. And so the idea behind it is to kind of steal that energy, get that dopamine from the visualization, but then use it to do the workout, because just saying the affirmation is half the work. It's never going, if you just say the affirmation but you don't really believe it, because you're not actually getting the steps in, you're not actually doing the cardio, you won't ever really believe it deep down, right? And so you got to do both. You use that as an easy way for your mind to do the workout, and once you have both,
Oh,
then you're there.
I like that. Okay, so instead of drinking a pre-workout drink, all we need to do is just do some future self visualization and then go take the action step to get you there.
Yes.
Boom, goosebumps. I love
Yes.
it.
I visualize when I get a little bit tired in the middle of the day. Although that's rare, but sometimes it happens, and I'll do a mini visualization, a couple minutes. I visualize every night before I go to sleep. Um, all the time. I'm visualizing all the time. It's like it's just you're rewiring the brain to constantly live in your future self.
I love that. And I find myself doing that too, like daydreaming a lot, like
Mhm.
about like the future and like goals I have. But then I almost need to be like, okay, I need to be present too and enjoy what I have now and not do it in a way where, oh, I'll be happy when, I'll be
Right.
happy if with all these goals. So it's kind of like, I don't
Yeah.
know, I need to work on finding the balance of being present and happy now, but also excited about the future.
Exactly. It's called blissful dissatisfaction. And I tell my
Mm.
clients always about that. It's like a state because a lot of people feel like if if I shoot for more, if I really extend myself and I go after that dream, then that means I'm not grateful or something's missing. And it's no, you can have both of those emotions and states of being at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. Blissfully dissatisfied. I am so grateful, so happy. It's an amazing life. And at the same time, I'm very dissatisfied because I know what more I can achieve. So it does, they can both coexist at the same time. It's like a beautiful state of blissful dissatisfaction.
I love that. I'm like, I'm pulling up my phone so I can write that word. Okay, blissfully
Dissatisfied.
dissatisfied. That's so good. That's so, you should like get shirts made. I would buy one. I
I didn't
love
come up
it.
with it. The first time I ever heard it was from Ed Milet, very famous,
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
successful entrepreneur. Yes. And then you start seeing, oh, all of the entrepreneurs that are successful that I like and listen to talk about the same thing. I guess
Mm,
they know about this. So, but yeah, but I definitely have embraced it and I share it with my clients all the time.
I love that. No, that's like a little life-changing nugget right there. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, and that has to happen. The pull forces, listening to your intuition, the visualization, and then also there's just the technical stuff, like the calorie deficit has to be there. And it's great because then you're motivated. I know we don't have much time left, but let me ask you something that I really, really wanted to get a little more information on. How much of a difference do you feel mentally, like with the depression and anxiety? Because I mean, you took actual drugs. I never actually took antidepressants. I did take anti-anxiety medications, which did not work. But I'm curious about that experience, that shift.
Yeah, so I was on a very high dose. Well, it seemed high to me, Zoloft. So I was on 100 milligrams and it just numbed me out. Like I remember I'm a crier when we watch shows. I remember my husband always like looking at me like a time I would cry and I'm like, nothing, no emotion. And it felt weird to not feel like myself. So we lowered the dose. I was at 25 milligrams. I got my tears back. It wasn't enough. I was still like, I wasn't feeling great because it was so low. So that's what I was on when I started animal based. So because my medication wasn't enough for me, I was able to notice the shift that I wasn't expecting. I feel like now, if people try carnivore, they see all this stuff out there. They're like, oh, maybe I'll try it for my mental health. I wasn't following influencers. So I didn't even know like this was even a possibility. So when it happened like a month in, I'm like, I feel a lot better. Like I'm happy, and maybe part of it because I was like trying this new thing and a new community, and it was exciting. But from what I'm learning, it was also, taking inflammation off of my brain. That when you're eating a highly inflammatory diet, your brain's inflamed, and an inflamed brain is linked to anxiety and depression. So, yeah, I was able to notice a difference within that first month, and it was just life changing. And I asked my husband, he's like, yes, I do see it. Like, I wanted to make sure he saw what I saw before I went off any medication because I tried to go off of it in the past and it was a nightmare. So, yeah, I slowly weaned myself off because when I tried to do it months before carnivore, my doctor was like, yeah, go off of it in like 2 weeks. And that was it. I thought withdrawal symptoms were for people that went off of it cold turkey. So I was like, I thought I had the flu. My brain, when I would move my eyes left and right, felt like I was being electrocuted. I guess I ended up finding the name brain
Brain
zaps.
zaps.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she didn't I'm still kind of bitter that she didn't like warn me about any of this.
That's so
So,
scary when you
it,
experience it for the first time and you didn't know
yeah.
it exists. Yes.
Yeah, and literally feeling like I had the flu. I was so sick. So I weaned myself off of this time and took probably like 3 months. Like I broke it in half, took that for a few weeks. I took that half, broke it in half. Like I had a pill cutter where I was probably like a grain of sand was like the size of the pill I was taking towards the end, and it was a much better experience. I maybe had a few days of brain zaps, but it was so much smoother.
Just a few days of brain zaps.
I
That's
know,
like it's
gosh.
crazy that, this is even, we're talking about this like it's normal.
Yeah.
Wow. And did
Yeah.
you feel a difference between animal-based and carnivore?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I still felt good animal based. Like I felt a difference in my mental health. Um, so I don't know if it was just because it was carnivore, but it did get better because that 90-day mark, like sometime around the 3 months, things are even more magical.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if that was
Mhm.
removing the fruit or just because it's kicking in a
Yeah.
little bit more.
I think also one more thing that because I've done the first time I ever did carnivore, I didn't do it with like calorie deficit and losing. Like I remember losing 4 pounds in the first week doing that. But I wasn't really working out. I was like almost no workouts. I went back the other day and went back to my records from years ago, and I could see the difference in my mental state when I then did it with calorie deficit and dropping the weight and seeing the weight drop. The it's it's so much more effortless because you're excited and you have this thing that's happening and you're feeling more and more comfortable in your own skin. It was like night and day. Whereas with the other one, it wasn't enough momentum and eventually I relapsed.
Mm.
So that was very interesting. It's like those other things, you got to have something that you're really truly excited about, and maybe for some people it's getting their dream body, maybe for others it is create chasing their passion and just moving out of their own way and their limiting beliefs. And you have to do the work to remove the limiting beliefs. You have to expose yourself to actual methods that it is possible. And maybe for other people it's everything at the same time. You can do all that. You got to be excited about something. You can't just like our brains need that dopamine hit. It's going to get it either way, right? If you're still craving, you're still slipping up, it's like your brain wants its fix. So why don't we give it its fix in better ways, and being all that we can be, living up to our potential and beyond.
Yes. No, I love all that. Super inspiring. Like I'm ready to go kick ass today. Like I feel good.
I was so happy to hear that. It's so funny. I never realized like I have a tendency to do inspirational stuff, and the only way I figured it out that people like describe me as like that when I went to rate my professors and I would read the reviews of my teaching. Almost every single student, when they give me a review, like the tags, they can choose tags like okay, caring, da da da, always inspiring, like inspiring, inspiring. Really, I'm inspiring. But then I was like listen to yourself. Listen to me. I was like, chase your dream, get out there. Yeah, of course. But I guess like, but that has become normal to me because I forced myself to expose myself to that because I was that victim mindset, like why me? Everybody has it easier, da, 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 da. And to get out of that, I had to force myself to listen to all these podcasts, all of the motivational, and then I guess it just becomes part of the way that you think and you talk.
Yeah, so you don't even realize that you're inspiring lives over here.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. My hobbies, like rolling is like, yeah, okay. I know the dreams and whatever. Like, I think though lately he's relented. It's like rubbing off on him.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like,
After a while, he's like, okay, fine.
you're numb to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's hilarious. Okay. That was fantastic. Tell us about your cookbook.
Yeah, so the cookbook's called Carnivore in the Kitchen. You can get it online, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Target, Walmart. It is in some select Barnes& and Noble, so you can go to their store locator and find it in person. If you're in Canada, Indigo has a lot in their stores too. And yeah, come say hi, slide into my DMs. It's Courtney Luna on all the platforms, just Courtney Luna on YouTube. And yeah, connect with me. I'd love to say hi to you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, and the recipes are absolutely delicious, and it can make the transition so much easier. You do have carnivore mozzarella sticks, right? Those are really good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, you can make carnivore bread. You can like it can make this transition so much easier. So,
Yeah,
um,
doesn't just have to be burger patties and steaks. I mean, I eat very simply on a daily basis. I'm not making carnivore lasagna every day, but it is fun to just switch it up and just have some different textures and flavors and just keep it exciting and interesting, especially if you have kids.
Yeah, and also on special occasions, Thanksgivings, Christmases, those are a lot of times when people really struggle to stick to carnivore. So if you can make it where it looks, you have carnivore bread and you have the everything, you can, it's crazy. I mean, I saw this recipe, carnivore ice cream the other day, carnivore chocolate, like you can literally do everything with that. Sometimes maybe a little bit of cocoa might be needed for the chocolate, but,
Yeah.
if you're animal based, that can work. So yeah, I will make sure that I link all of your socials in the description box below so people can find you and connect with you easily. Thank you so much, Courtney. I always have a blast when we connect. I love your vibe, your energy, and just it's always fun. So thank you
Thank
for the
you.
time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for the coaching and the pep talk. I'm feeling super motivated.
Yay, that's awesome. Yeah, anything you need, let me know and we can share that journey as well. We can do another a part 2 and tell everybody about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for sticking with us till the end. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you give this YouTube video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. And also share it because the algorithm does not really like all this talk about mental health and carnivore. So the algorithm doesn't really push our stuff as easily as if I were to talk about, body positivity, eat all the eat all the carbs, it's fine. It's a sad reality, and so we kind of have to rely on you guys sharing this stuff. So please do. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you in the next one.